GeneralandTheCommish.com.
Did you order the code red?
You don't have to answer that question.
I'll answer the question.
So do I.
You want answers?
I think I'm entitled.
You want answers?
I want the truth!
You can't handle the truth.
Okay, as is our custom, we're going to start off with news around baseball for this week. We've got some injuries to talk about. Hanley Ramirez, we touched on him last week, and it appears that the injury is going to be a little bit more serious than they had hoped.
Yeah, unfortunately for the Dodgers and I guess for Hanley, it's become now a recurring theme for him to get injured. So they're going to be looking, and also fantasy owners will be looking to replace him. I don't think D. Gordon's the answer either. So.
Yeah, well, Hanley's going to be out 4 to 6 weeks. It's a hamstring injury, so when he does come back, I wouldn't expect a lot of stolen bases out of him. D. Gordon will be filling in. A lot of people are picking him up, which is probably a wise move. I don't think he's the long-term solution, but if you need some stolen bases, might be a good time to pick up on D. Gordon.
Yeah, the problem with D. Gordon is that as great as his speed is, he doesn't get on base enough to use it.
That doesn't hit. Roy Halladay. Roy Halladay is going to be out for 3 months with assorted shoulder surgeries.
They're saying that he's got torn rotator cuff. They're going to go in and repair that. He's also got some bone spurs in there that they're going to go in. Now, doctors are saying that he could be back to the Roy Halladay of 2 to 3 years ago if he actually comes out of the surgery.
With a lot of these surgery options nowadays, you can turn the clock back a little bit. G shaking his head.
Oh, the General's not buying it.
I don't know what these guys. How old is Roy at this point? 37.
I don't think he's that old. Is he 34, 35 maybe? But he's
think
a guy that fell off the table. I mean, 2 years ago, he was really one of the top pitchers in baseball. Had a rough year last year.
I think you're better off having Tommy John at this stage of your career than the rotator cuff. Exactly. I'm serious. The Tommy John almost turns you into the bionic man. These guys come back from Tommy John surgery, and they're pitching better than they were before. But the shoulder, I don't like it. I have a feeling we've seen the last of the great days of Roy Halladay.
Yeah. Well, listen, he's out for 3 months. They are saying he will be back to pitch this year. So, well, that's what they're saying. That's what they're saying.
All right.
So we'll have to keep an eye on that for you. But I think the Roy Halladay prospects are looking kind of bleak right now. From the National League, the Chicago Cubs have named a new closer.
Yeah, well, Kevin Gregg, another one of these guys that, he'll be the closer for this
Flavor
week and
of the
next week.
Now, listen, we're reporting today that Kevin Gregg is the new closer for the Cubs. I think in a couple of weeks we'll be
reporting it'll be somebody else.
Fujikawa will be the closer, will be named the closer. So
or Carlos Marmol, or Rafael Dolis, or anyone else they can muster up and send out there.
I think, if I was a betting man, which I'm not, I think Fujikawa is the long-term solution there. I think he's going to be the guy that winds up with the most saves at the end of the year. But
probably.
But you need somebody quick. You need somebody for a short-term fix. Kevin Gregg's your man. Then we had some scary news Tuesday night. J.A. Happ. I don't know if you've seen this video before, but we're going to roll the clip for you now and show you what happened to Happ. He got hit by a screaming line drive, and wasn't pretty.
Yeah, off the bat, Desmond Jennings. Even Desmond Jennings was upset when after he hit it. So
scary. I mean, Happ went down in a heap and had to be taken off on the stretcher. And I don't know if we could show that clip. Already did. Okay, great. So I'm not sure who's going to be filling in for him. I know they were talking about. I think it was Alan Webster.
No, not for Happ.
I'm sorry, not Alan Webster.
for Happ, Tyler Floyd.
Right. So we'll keep an eye on that. We'll see who steps into the role there, but I would expect Happ to be out for a while.
Cloyd was actually pretty good last year in AAA. He was like 12-1. This year he's okay. He's not having a great season, but he's not too bad. I think I have some numbers on him here. He's 1-3, but his ERA is over 5 so far this season.
Right,
but last season he was great. He was under 3 with 12 wins.
Yeah, and it's a shame because Happ was starting to show a little bit of a some success, and he had success a few years ago, and then
I think that these we're finding out. I'm assuming this is a concussion and the knee, because the knee happened at the same time.
Yeah, knee too.
But let's assume the knee is just a sprain. But these concussion injuries, these guys are not coming back from these things. Jason Bay has never been the same.
Right.
Justin Morneau still isn't the same. We're finding out more and more these concussions linger on and on and on. So I don't think you're going to see much of Hap being anything reasonably decent for most of this year. I mean, it could take the whole year.
It's the mental issue that you have to get over, getting back on the mound and knowing that that can happen again. And, it's got to be a little scary.
Yeah.
Anything else in the news, fellas?
No, I think that's it for me.
One other thing is, did you see the blown home run call on?
Yes.
On, I guess it was Wednesday night. Adam Rosales. Everybody in the stadium knew it was a home run, except the umpires. Even have to go into review on the tape. It was insane.
Wow.
I think if you blow the review of the on video of the call and everyone can see it and you can't, there's something wrong with the video you're watching. I don't know. It doesn't make any sense. That's the whole point of having the video review.
Even the Cleveland announcers said that was a home run.
I tell you can't get that one wrong. If you're going to get it wrong when everyone else can see it, then obviously there's a problem.
It's a problem.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
All right, so what we're going to do now, guys, is we're a quarter of the way into the season already, which is kind of interesting. So I think at this point, if you're running a fantasy team, you kind of have an idea of where you stand right now, where your strengths and weaknesses are. You have some guys that are probably underperforming. You have some guys that are overperforming. But, for the most part, you have an idea of what you need to do and kind of strategy to take. So we want to kind of go over the waiver wire, see if there's some players out there that might be able to help. The guy I'm going to start off with is Andrew Kashner. He is probably still available in a pretty good amount of leagues, especially the more shallow leagues. He is a guy that I've had my eye on for over a year now. He will be a star in this league. You heard it from the Admiral. He will be a star in this league. Give it time. Pick him up now before it's too late. I really have very high hopes for the young man.
Good quality pitcher.
I think that any pitcher that has any success at the minor league level and can pitch in that ballpark at home, if you did nothing else with him, if just started him at home, I bet you'd be okay.
Yeah, I mean, even though they moved the fences in a little bit out in San Diego.
It's still a pitcher's ballpark.
It's still a pitcher's ballpark, and Kashner will be a star. The waiting is the hardest.
Now, he
part.
was injured a little bit last year, wasn't he?
He was injured a little bit. Actually, then was injured in spring training. He had in a hunting accident. He cut his thumb on his pitching hand, and wound up having to miss some time. He was actually projected to be in the starting rotation at the beginning of the year. That didn't happen because of the injury, probably, but he's in the rotation now. Pick him up.
The Admiral's on board.
I'm on board. Ricky Romero.
Ooh, he's been brutal.
Yeah, he's not ready.
Big day. I don't think he made it out of on Wednesday night. I don't think he even made it out of the second inning. And
it was curious because when Josh Johnson went down, Romero had a pretty good spring. Did not have a good spring. He was actually online to become one of the starters again out in Toronto, and didn't make the starting rotation out of the spring. Only had one start in the minors, and they threw him right back in, and didn't do well. But might be a guy to keep an eye on for a while.
Here's a guy. A couple of years ago, he was the frontline starter for the Blue Jays. Had some real promise, and he's got control issues that he just can't seem to overcome.
Well, last year was rough, but you're right. 2 years ago, he was all-star caliber pitcher.
Yeah, I think that at this point with Romero, he's nowhere near ready to be pitching at the major league level. You're probably looking at him either going back to the minors for 4 or 5 starts to try to get that control. If there's no arm issues, which I don't think there are, I think he's healthy at this point. But if he can't get out of the first inning of these games and he's getting shelled like this and can't throw a strike, I mean, he has zero value right now. I mean, I think you wait a little bit longer on him.
Okay. Matt Garza. Matt Garza coming off the DL shortly. He actually, they're projecting he's going to need 2 more starts in the minor leagues, 2 more rehab starts, and he's going to be up. If he's out there, take a flyer. Good guy for the back end of your rotation.
He scares me.
You know what? He's solid.
He scares me.
He's a solid pitcher. He's not going to be the ace of your staff. But right now, 6 weeks into the season, if you need a 4th or 5th guy, and he's out there, I say grab him.
Yeah, for that, if you're looking for that, and you can get the short-term burst out of him, you never know. But all of a sudden, I have a feeling you're going to see a 5-inning pitcher on a bad team that, is going to give up 3 runs in 5 innings and strike out 2.
You get
versus,
some strikeouts too out of him,
right.
at least.
Versus
so
if we're going to see Matt Garza that goes 7 innings and strikes out 8 and gives up a couple of runs, that's fine, but
Right.
I don't know if we're going to get that out of him yet. At least not in the beginning. You're going to have to be patient. The problem is when these guys come back from injury is that you're not getting 7, 8 innings out of them. You're getting 5.
Right.
And then in the bullpen, you're getting 6 if you're lucky. And, it's hard to get wins when you're in a game for 5 innings, so it's just tough. But in the beginning, don't expect much, but maybe after 5 starts, you may have a guy you can use.
Right. Nolan Arenado.
Oh, that's your boy.
That's
What a
my
great
boy. I
start.
jumped on him. This is a guy that, in deep leagues, I've been kind of sitting on for a couple of years now. And, kind of waiting for him to for him to get his big break. And he finally did. And he responded. I mean, here's a guy that had a very successful minor league career, came up and, is now hitting in, the best park probably in the league for hitters right now, and Coors Field. And he got off to a great start. He's been up a week, 294 batting average, 3 home runs, 8 RBIs in his first 8 games. So,
It's about time. Rocky's been struggling at third base for a long couple of years now. And
Yeah.
The guy who was it, Ian Stewart.
They had them all.
Oh, man.
Chris Nelson.
Yeah.
it was a revolving door of third baseman there for a while.
The only thing about Nolan Arenado that scares me a little bit is I don't know if you're ever going to get the home run production out of him.
He wasn't a huge home run
Not
hitter
at
in the
all. I
minor
mean,
leagues, but in that park,
it may be a different
that
story.
park turns everybody into a 20, 30 homer guy. If you got any kind of power.
He may level the playing field playing at that field, but I'm just looking at his numbers real quick, and it's just he's basically a 12 to 15 homer guy. He broke 20 was at one time. Last year hit 12 homers in 575 at bats in Double-A.
Right.
So that's all. That's all. My only comment on that is that I just think that the home run production might not be. I think everything else will be there. I think he'll still drive in runs. He'll hit for average. He'll do everything else you need
He's
to
got
do.
strong power to the gaps. I think he's going to be the kind of guy that hits 20, 25 homers.
I mean, if he ends up hitting 20 this year, he's already got 3, then you got a home run on your hands. So.
Yeah. Jason Bay. Listen,
He brought him up, not us.
here's the situation. He's getting regular playing time now. He actually he's in the ball a little bit. I mean, he's a guy that if you need a little depth on your bench, if you need, a 4th outfielder, keep an eye on him.
Commish, are you keeping an eye? Are you keeping an eye on? Is there a Baywatch going on Code Red?
There's no Baywatch going on for the Commish.
Nice.
I'm sorry. I wish he was the Jason Bay of the Pirates
He's not,
years
and
back.
he's not going to be.
Yeah,
Or
but
even in the Red Sox, he's
Yeah.
not going to be. But he could be a serviceable outfielder before it's all said and done this year.
He will be an ad and a drop shortly thereafter.
I think I've done that already, actually.
Jason Bay, I don't think, is ever going to get back to any semblance of consistency. We haven't seen a good week out of Jason Bay. Forget about any month or anything else. A week. We haven't seen 3 games in a row out of him. I think I would look elsewhere. You're taking a big flyer on Jason Bay.
Well, you know what?
In that ballpark to boot.
It's not that we're taking a big flyer on the guy. It's just a situation where, we're at the point in the year now where in most leagues, it's slim pickings.
Thin.
It
I
really
agree.
is. It's very thin.
I'm not. You know what? He
Jason
could be.
Bay, the last 2 weeks, 313 batting average, 2 home runs, 7 RBI. It could be worse. I'm sure there are a lot of teams out there with players that are active on their rosters right now that are doing less than that. So
I think that if it were me and I had to get an outfielder right now, and you're in a deep league, let's assume that everyone's in some kind of a deep league, and I had a choice between Jason Bay and let's say Marcelo Ozuna or even Oswaldo Arcia at the Twins, I think I'm taking one of those other 2 guys versus him, only because I just think that you have a better long-term upside versus Bay. I think Bay might help you short-term. If you're looking short-term for a 2-week stint,
Fill in an injury or something.
filling in for an injury, guys come back in 2 weeks, and Bay goes in there, he's playing every day, hits a couple of homers, but I don't think you're going to see. I'd be shocked if Bay, even with playing time, if Bay hit 25 homers, I would be shocked. So short-term.
But you have to think about who's going to be available right now on the waiver wire. I mean, the Admiral's taking a beating right now, but I'm going to probably take a beating on this one too.
Oh no, who else are we throwing out there?
James Loney.
No.
Listen, guys,
He's hitting. Yeah, I will
hitting,
say he's
all
hitting.
right?
Yeah, he's
Here's
doing
a
what he
guy-
normally does, but he
here's
doesn't.
a guy that's hitting 385 on the season. He's hitting 460 over the last 3 weeks, albeit with 1 home run, but 11 or 10 runs batted in. You know, I mean, you know,
Short-term fix.
it's Mark Grace type numbers, but if you're sitting on Ike Davis right now, or Carlos Pena,
It's a good short
or
term.
Adam LaRoche, he's a guy that you can plug in for a few weeks and ride
Yes.
out the hot streak.
I will agree with
I'm
you. on
not
that.
saying you're gonna go with this guy for the rest of the year. You're not. Okay, but right now the guy is on fire.
I think that when you're looking at waiver wire pickups and you're trying to fix issues, I think that you need to kind of say to yourself, am I looking for a short-term fix or am I looking for a long-term fix? And you have to look at these different players and look at it that way, short-term or long-term. I think that Filoni is a short-term fix.
Absolutely.
Whereas a guy like Marcelo Ozuna, I would be hoping and thinking that he would be a selection for a long-term fix. Now, when Giancarlo Stanton comes back, is Ozuna still in the lineup? I don't know. Probably. If he keeps hitting like he's hitting right now, he should be. So there are factors that in Major League Baseball where
Listen,
they
the
don't
Marlins
keep these
are a
guys
mess.
up.
I
Right.
mean, if you're hitting,
You
on
should
Marlins,
be
you'll
there.
playing.
You should be there.
You know,
But
it's pretty simple. In fact,
and they've already made the move and brought him up, so they can't hold him back.
If you haven't picked up Ozuna, go get him now.
Yeah.
go get him, and you know, Yelich is the other guy that I'm
Yes.
kind of waiting for them to pick up. I think he's going to be up shortly. I was a little surprised that they didn't bring him up right away.
I was too.
But he's a guy that I think will be up within a couple
He
of
just
weeks.
started
Will
hitting
contribute.
in the last week and a half, 2
In the
weeks.
minors,
He just started hitting, and he's starting to tear the cover off the ball a little
Yeah.
bit. So he might be ready soon too.
So one last guy that I want to talk about, and I don't know if you guys have anybody else that you feel might be out on the waiver wire, and this guy is no longer on the waiver wire. It was kind of funny. I was going to talk about Alan Webster today. Looked like a
man.
guy that you might want to take a flyer on. Looked like a
I
guy
agree.
that might be in the rotation not only for the short term, but if he was successful, might actually stay up for a while or maybe even for the rest of the year. Went out and got hammered last night. Gave up 8 runs and
He got hammered.
was promptly sent right back down to the minors. So
Welcome to the majors, Mr. Webster.
I think he got hammered and then went out and got hammered
Yeah.
after that
hope
performance.
you enjoyed your cup of coffee.
The thing is, he came up earlier in the year and pitched a game, pitched well. So it's not like he was, stepping onto the stage for the first time. And, and then even all the indications were that he was going to be up for probably an extended period of time, not just for one start. But when you get bombed like that, no.
He was hit hard.
No,
Very
you're going to go back, and we'll see you next time.
It was funny. There was an interview with him after the game, and he mentioned he had command problems.
Yeah.
Let me tell you
I
something.
agree.
That's not command problems. Anyway, all right. So we're going to take a quick commercial break right now, and we'll be back on Fantasy Baseball Code Red on InRavio.com in a couple of minutes.
InRavio. InRavio.com.
Good Times Magazine, New York's best entertainment paper for 43 years. Check out their calendar for all the latest music info, including New York City, Queens, Nassau, and Suffolk. Studio News brings you the biggest news about the hottest artists and sounds. Technobeat is your guide to electronica, techno, house, and dubstep. Packtrack keeps you up to date on the biggest events at the area's performing arts centers and theaters. Good Times Magazine gives you all this and more. It's bi-weekly and it's free. Pick up your copy today or visit goodtimesmag.com. If you want to increase business, you've got to advertise. Contact Resonant Voiceovers for an effective, affordable commercial spot. Our production, audio, and editing personnel will create top-quality recordings to promote your business. Start getting internet exposure for your business today, right here on InRavio.com. To contact Resonant Voiceovers, go to the InRavio Advertisers and Sponsors page and click on Resonant Voiceovers. Resonant Voiceovers, when you want your message to resonate.
InRavio.com. Welcome to the future of radio. InRavio.
Hey, this is Paul Discofani, the disco portion of the Glory Days with Bruce and Disco show on Sundays, 10 a.m. to noon. It's a sports show with a twist. We have entertainment, music, and whatever you want to talk about. Only on InRavio.com, broadcasting to the world.
Oil City Skate Park, Long Island's only indoor skate park. Skateboarding, BMX, inline skating, open 7 days a week. Nearly 150 decks by Baker, Flip, Girl, Chocolate, Real, Plan B, Crimson, Zero, Element, DGK, Bogata, and more. The best in tees, hoodies, wallets, trucks, wheels, bearings, t-shirts, hats, and DVD. New York's largest Santa Cruz dealer. Introducing Jart Skateboards, Europe's best-selling deck. Oil City Skate Park, 3565 Maple Court, Oceanside, New York. Phone 516-442-0706 or go to www.oilcitysk8.com for more info. Shotgun Sound Studios of New York. Professional sound reinforcements. We rent sound system 100 to 20,000 watts. Monitors, side fills, in-ear monitors, separate monitor mixes. Drum mics. Digital mixing consoles up to 32 tracks. JBL, EV, Behringer, PreSonus. Over 40 years of experience. Shotgun Sound Studios of New York. Phone 1-800-HEY-DUDE for more info.
All right, we're back with more Code Red on InRadio.com. We're going to continue with our theme of how we can help you win your league this year. And right now we're going to talk a little bit about the rookies. Some of the younger guys that have already had an impact on the league, and also some guys that will hopefully have an impact on the league going forward. So we'll start with guys that are already in the league that are doing quite well. Shelby Miller.
Fantastic.
Off to a great start.
That's just an awesome start for him. 4-0, I think, right now, and
ERA around 2, whip around 1.
Striking guys out. He's pitching for a great team with good coaches, and it's just unbelievable. I mean, much better than I thought it was going to be.
Right, right. Out in L.A., we've got a man named Hun Jin Ryu, who doing a great job. Off to a great start, 3-1. We've got a little bit of an issue here with his rookie status.
Well, I mean, these guys that come from these developed leagues, whether it be the Japanese league, the Korean league, or wherever these leagues are, they're he's not, I don't know how old, is he 30 years old yet? I don't even know if he's that old yet. But, these guys that, they're getting rookie status like Ichiro a few years ago. They're coming from these developed leagues. They're hardly what you would consider to be a rookie.
Even Darvish.
All these guys. But, I mean, yeah, he's got rookie status, and he'll probably win Rookie of the Year. But, I don't know if he really qualifies as a legit rookie in my mind.
Well, you know what? He doesn't.
Great numbers.
It's a shame. We've seen in the past where we've had some guys, come in and they've had experience pitching in professional baseball. Ryu's not that old, though. Ryu's 26 or 27.
Okay.
But still, he's had several years under his belt over in Japan, and but off to a great start here. A lot of the imports we've seen, they come over and they're hyped and they're going to be the next greatest thing, and a lot of them have really fizzled out.
But the last couple, I think that they've refined the efforts to measure the success of these guys, because the last couple of guys coming through, like Darvish, like Ryu, seem to be better than what we were seeing before, and the Kayagawas of the world, and and some of the other ones, the Kaz Matsuis and so on and so forth. I think now we're starting to get a better flavor of these guys. I think Daisuke was
How
more
about a Rabu for the Yankees, you remember?
The Fat Toad, as the boss once called him.
Moving on, Evan Gattis.
I'm loving Evan Gattis right now. And you know what? I honestly think that the Braves might find a way to try and keep his bat around.
Absolutely.
They're going to have a tough time doing that there, Commissioner, because there's no spot for him to play.
Well, that's the problem. I mean, when McCann comes back up and you've got Freddie Freeman over at first base, unless you can sit this guy in the outfield a little bit.
Which is what they did the other day. I think they had him out in left field spelling some people. And maybe when they go to the parks for the DH, they'll fill him in as DH over there. But
here's a guy that's got 7 homers already, 19 runs batted in.
Great story too, right?
Yeah, great story.
I mean, his story is even more shocking maybe than, or at least as shocking as Josh Hamilton's story.
Right, right.
Just coming as a high school into a college scholarship situation and blows that up, and then professional baseball and different colleges, and just a mess, and alcoholism and all that other stuff, and climbed all the way back to get back to where he is now. But I think that the big problem is going to be, they don't have many, unless someone gets hurt, you can slide him in here and there, but I don't see him getting regular playing time going forward. That's the problem.
The other option too is maybe they look to trade him. Maybe you got some teams out there always look at.
He's
catch
young
is a
though.
hard
He's,
one,
he's
right?
26. It's going to be rough for them to want to trade a guy that young.
I'd be trading Brian McGann before I'd be trading him. I think.
I think McCann, his days are.
Maybe that happens too,
it's
right?
Possible. Yeah. It's possible.
Well, you stash him, you pick him up, you stash him, and you wait and you see. So not everything happens overnight. You're better off. He might be a second half type of player for you. That's what I would do.
And over in the American League, we've got Connor Gillespie. Off to a great start. He's not setting the world on fire. He's hitting about 320, 3 homers. He's off to a good start.
Yeah, you got. Anytime you're over 300, you gotta like that.
Especially as a rookie.
Yeah, especially having to learn the pitching at this level. You see so many of these rookies, they hit a ton in the minors, and then they come up here and to the majors, and it's just terrible.
The other guy that quietly has been going about his business, if I can go back to the National League, is A.J. Pollock.
Yeah.
He's sitting there, and I guess will eventually end up being a crowded outfield situation, but he's got 4 homers, 14 RBIs, he's got 5 stolen bases.
And he's probably sitting out there on the waiver wire too. He's not a bad waiver wire pickup.
He definitely is in a lot of leagues. So another guy to keep an eye on. And my favorite is starting to hit a little bit now, Jed Garco on San Diego. He is. He's finally starting to get hit a little bit. He's got 3 homers, 12 RBIs, which is third in the rookies in Major League Baseball. So not bad. Another guy that might be helpful too, and eligible at second base in most leagues.
Yeah.
So.
I'm kind of loving Gregorius a little bit. Just picked him up in our league. He's hitting over 400. Granted, he doesn't have a whole lot of at-bats, but he's known more for the glove than the bat. But he's actually filling in nice for me over there.
And one guy that I wish was part of this conversation, Matt Harvey. You're going to be hearing me speak about Matt Harvey every week because I'm in love with Matt Harvey right now.
Have you a man crush on Harvey?
It's become more than a man crush, fellas.
It's a bromance.
I think I'm in love.
It's a blooming bromance.
A blooming bromance.
Here's the situation with Matt Harvey and why he's not part of the conversation for Rookie of the Year this year. He actually is 9 innings over the limit in terms of how many innings you can pitch.
That's
still
terrible.
Maintain your rookie status. Mets made a huge public relations blunder, by doing that. They should have had the foresight to keep his innings down and have him, qualify as a rookie this year.
You're probably talking about maybe his last start last year, and maybe a couple of innings from the start before that.
Right.
Which was in a meaningless season, if they really had any forethought whatsoever, if you really wanted to promote your team and try to get yourself back in the good graces of your fan base, at the very least you could present him the Rookie of the Year.
Just when we thought we saw, everything we were going to see out of this guy, the guy goes out the other night, has a perfect game through the 7th inning, or into the 7th inning, gave up an infield single. That was it. Pitched 9 innings, 1 hit, no walks, 12 strikeouts. Didn't get the win.
No.
Mets actually got the win in overtime. Bobby Parnell wound up getting the win. But, listen to Harvey's numbers on the year. He's 4-0. The guy could easily be 7-0. 1.28 ERA, 49 innings pitched, 22 hits, 12 walks, 58 strikeouts.
I see love in your eyes.
Guys, I'm blushing. Listen, you know what? He's taking a no-hitter late into a game. He's taking a perfect game late into a game.
And he's a gamer. You see that blood streaming down his...
As a Mets fan, we haven't seen this in exactly 30 years. 30 years ago this season was the arrival of...
Doc.
Dwight Gooden. And, here we go again, fellas. Here we go again. So...
I think Doc had a little bit more of a better supporting cast than what Matt Harvey currently has today. I think there's a big difference. There's a big difference between Ike Davis and Keith Hernandez. So I think that help is on the way, hopefully.
You're not loving Duda?
Not all Duda day, I'm not, no.
All right.
I have a guy to mention.
Go ahead.
We're still on rookies?
Yes.
What about my friend Jim Henderson?
Henderson.
You know,
Oh, yeah.
Stepped
Henderson,
in for Axford.
he is a rookie closer. He has rookie status, and he's 7 for 7 in saves. There's only 2 guys in Major League Baseball that are rookies that have saves. It's Fujikawa on Chicago and Henderson. So, you know, it's another one of these guys that you plug in, and some of these guys relish in it, and some guys run away from it. You know, Henderson kind of reminds me of a Jim Johnson type of guy. You know, just go out there and he's closing the door, and you know he'll hold on to it as long as he doesn't blow saves. He'll hold on to it. So, you know, big props for Jim Henderson.
All right, let's go a little bit deeper now. We'll go down to the minor leagues. We'll take a look around the farm and see what's going on.
Okay.
You know, right now we've got Matt Harvey that we're all excited about, or at least I am, obviously. But another guy that's going to be working his way, I think, pretty quickly through the Mets system is Zach Wheeler. Got off to a pretty slow start in the Pacific Coast League. It's a notorious hitters league. But his last couple of starts have been very good. And I think that we're going to see him up in that rotation mid-year, you know, probably sometime in mid-June. I think the Mets actually in mid-June have a doubleheader scheduled because of a rain out with the Braves. So that might be when we see him.
Yeah, he's pitched really well his last 2 outings. His last outing, I think he was 5 innings, no runs. So
yeah,
he's starting to pick it up.
Of June 16th. So keep an eye on him. You know, some might be a guy you want to grab now if he's out there. You know, a lot of leagues are so deep that he's on a roster already. But if he's out there, if you're in a pretty shallow league and you're looking for a little help in the second half, he might be your guy.
I think he's definitely worth getting. Guy that I have. I call it the curious case of Trevor Bauer. I'm looking at this guy, and I defy you to try to figure this guy out. You know, I'm looking at the numbers right now for his 10 innings of Major League pitching this year. 2 starts, 10 innings. He gives up 3 hits, 13 walks, 7 Ks. All right. In the minors, he goes 24 innings, and he gives up 10 walks. So in the majors, he's given up 11 walks per 9. In the minors, he's given up about 3.5 walks per 9. So this guy, when he comes to the majors, and it was the same thing last year, when he pitches in the majors, he walks people. When he pitches in the minors, at least in the minors, it's 3 or 4
I
per
think
9.
what we've got here is an issue with lack of maturity. I think that's what the situation is here. I mean, here's a guy, you know, one of the top-rated prospects in baseball, pitching for San Diego, and was mysteriously traded in the middle of the night.
Arizona.
I'm sorry.
Arizona.
You know, pitching for Arizona. Apparently, there was a problem with his catcher Montero. You know, here's a kid that comes up, you know, has a shot, and you know, can't seem to get along with his teammates or his catcher, and was traded.
Yep.
You know, and you have to wonder, you have to ask yourself why. You know,
there's a problem.
There's a problem.
There's a problem. You know, we don't know all of it, but there is definitely a problem. In between the years, there's a problem, and there's something, you know, with his coaches, and I mean Francona. Now with Cleveland, it's odd that he's not up in the rotation, but maybe they see, hey, listen, this guy can't throw a strike at the big league level.
Yeah, I think right now it's an issue of maturity. I think he needs to just, you know, grow a little bit as a person more, because the skills are there. I mean, the kid's going to be a great pitcher if he can pull it together.
Another one, Taijuan Walker, same thing. He's
Seattle.
one of the Seattle Mariners' top prospects. 20 base home balls in 35 innings.
Wow.
I mean, he's lights out down there. He's got like 39 strikeouts and like a 1.35 earned run average. But the problem is, you know, I'm sure they're leery of bringing him up, especially with Holtzen hurt.
Yeah.
That, you know, too many base home balls.
Holtzen's out for a month with a rotator cuff strain, so we're not going to be seeing him anytime soon. They're not going to rush him back. You know, a couple other pitchers. Dylan Bundy, out 6 weeks with elbow pain. You know, another guy that is just not going to be up anytime soon. They're not going to rush him, so forget about him for now.
How about, since we're talking about guys that walk lots of guys, let's talk about someone who doesn't walk anybody.
There you go.
There's a guy, Kevin Gossman, in Baltimore's minor leagues, has pitched 35 innings this year. He has walked one man. One. And if you go back to last year, he's got over 50 innings in pro baseball, and he's only walked 2 guys. So you go from one extreme to the other.
And you know what? With Bundy kind of, you know, taking a back seat for now, you know, I think he's going to be the guy that's going to be the first call up. He's going to be the minor leaguer, you know, pitcher at least for the Orioles. That's going to, you know,
I agree.
Have the best shot at making an impact this year.
You know, one thing to keep in mind about these players in the minor leagues, like a lot of these guys in the old days, back in the 70s, it used to be, you had to get A ball, double A, triple A, majors. That's the way it went. Nobody jumped from double A to the majors. It never happened. The way that it looks to me like minor league baseball is today, triple A is almost a retread league. It's 27-year-old guys, 26-year-old guys, 25-year-old guys. And the real prospects, if you look at the league, a lot of these guys are playing at double A.
Especially the pitching prospects.
Especially the pitching.
Yeah.
What you have at the AAA level are guys trying to make their way back. You have the Ricky Romeros of the world. You have the Carlos Zambranos of the world. You have these guys at AAA. They're 28, 29, 30, 31, 32 trying to get back, and it's not really where the top prospect may be sitting. So don't be scared by seeing AA next to a guy's name.
Yeah. Well, listen, a perfect example of that is Archie Bradley. You know, Arizona, guy that started off the year in A-ball, 5 starts in A-ball, and they just promoted him to AA, and you know he's on the fast track. They're talking about him being up this year at some point, and you know so far he's really hasn't disappointed.
Yeah, no, I mean, just, you know, if he ever gets up to the big league level, again, with these guys that are pitchers that are, you know, minor leaguers, yeah, remember that they're not going to pitch into September. So they might help you up until August 30th, but you got to start planning ahead for those guys not being around, you know?
Right. All right, so we went over some pitchers. How about a couple of hitters? Travis d'Arnaud, you know, out 8 weeks with a broken foot. You know, don't expect to see him anytime soon, especially if Buck continues anything close to what he's done so far this year. There's just no need to rush.
Mike Holt's another one, right? Vision problems. Not going to see him for a while.
They actually put him on the DL in AAA because he's got some kind of unexplained vision problems.
Yeah.
This is unfortunate.
I have a new man crush, if you will,
Oh,
on a player, somewhat of a local product, and he's a minor leaguer for a team that needs a lot of help, and they need it now. This guy, George Springer, he's in the Houston Astros.
I thought you were going to say Marcus Stroman.
No,
for
not Marcus,
sure. I thought you were going
Marcus.
Marcus
We're going to wait
Stroman.
for Marcus to make some kind of debut somewhere before we get back to Marcus.
He's got to come off his suspension.
He's got to come off his suspension first, and we'll get back to Marcus soon. But Springer, in the minor leagues for Houston, that AA right now, he's leading all of minor league baseball in home runs. He's got 11 homers, 27 RBIs, 9 stolen bases. Last year hit 26 homers, I think, drove in 90 runs. He's a University of UConn guy, University of Connecticut guy from New Britain, Connecticut. And if there was ever a team that needs help now, it's Code Red, Houston. Go get George Springer and bring him up immediately, if not sooner, because you guys need his help right now.
They do have a couple of good prospects. They have a first baseman down there, Singleton, who is supposed to have a ton of power. So, you know, that's a team that's obviously rebuilding in a major way, and they're just going to be horrible this year. It's going to be a horrible team.
But did you see what they did to the Angels this week?
Listen, you know what?
Yeah, I know. It's unbelievable.
It happens.
The Angels can't hit right now, and that's the problem. And Josh and Albert and everything else, it's a mess over there. So
You catch it at the right time.
you catch him at the right time.
So a guy I'm excited about, Will Myers. Not tearing it up down there, but you know what? He's going to be up. He's going to be up.
Well.
He's going to be up in June, and you know he's probably the top prospect in baseball right now. You know that's not currently playing in the major leagues. I mean, you can talk about guys like Profar, but I think Will Myers is going to be the closest thing that we see to Trout, you know, to Bryce Harper. I don't think we're going to see anything like that again anytime soon. I mean, those two guys just came up and went off. But Myers is a guy that I think can have a pretty big impact pretty quickly.
I guess I would agree with that. It's hard to tell sometime with these guys, though, because when you get to the major league level, a lot of these guys come out of the chute strong and they drop off quickly. And the consistency's not there in the beginning. You look at like Eric Hosmer from a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
He looked like he was going to be a world beater when he came up. And where are we at now with Hosmer? We're so far removed from that it's not even funny. So, but like all these guys, you give them a chance, you give them a start, and if they take off on you and they help you, it's like a free draft pick. It's like a free first 6 or 7 round draft pick that you're getting for nothing in the middle of the season or early in the season. So
I tell you, Machado's starting to fit into that category with Harper and Trout.
Yeah.
He's really made a big
up.
impact for Baltimore
very
this year.
quietly.
Yes.
Very quietly, without any fanfare, Manny Machado, who was, I think, 21 years old.
Yeah, another very young.
Going about his business and just hitting. And I don't know if the power numbers are going to be there for Manny. But again, at his age,
Right.
what are we saying?
You
But,
never know. You never know.
And
Right
the
now-
defense has been stellar at
Right.
third base. I don't
Yeah.
know if you've seen some of the plays
Yes.
he's made this year. It's been fantastic.
Yeah, he's been a highlight reel with the glove. But another guy, Oscar Taveras in the St. Louis organization, he's batting .302 right now. The problem with him is, crowded outfield in St. Louis. He's waiting for an injury or two before he's going to get a shot. So, Carlos Beltran owners, beware. When Carlos won.
No, that's all right. Once you leave the Mets, all your injury problems go away.
That's true.
That's when you get healthy when you leave the
Yeah,
Mets. It's when you're with the Mets is when you're injured.
If you do get hurt,
So Beltran, put him down for the Wally Pipp Award. I mean, he'll 162 games, I'm sure. He's not getting hurt anymore. So.
All right, a couple more, and then we're going to break for a commercial. Do we want to even discuss Puig?
Yes.
Oh, of course. The General's going to want to discuss
We've got
Puig.
issues and concerns with Mr. Puig.
Well, I mean, just because a guy got arrested, not having an insurance card in his car, let's not make a big deal out of it.
Insurance card.
He can't drive 55.
So he was speeding a little bit. Listen, there are worse things in the world. I mean, it's.
At least he's not on roids.
At least he's not on roids. At least not that we know of. And we don't mind if
It
you
was road rage, not roid rage.
And we don't mind if you cork the bat either, Yazel. So, but I mean, I think this guy is a Cuban defector, if you will, and it's just like big time talent. The problem he has, like some of these other guys have, is there's no path to the majors until we get either a trade of Andre Ethier or an injury to to Carl Crawford, whichever comes first. I guarantee one of those is coming. He's not going to replace Matt Kemp. There was talk about him possibly playing some first base, and I know Adrian Gonzalez has got a neck injury right now, but he's not going to be out for any length of time.
Right.
I could see him playing a little first base. There was talk of sticking him at third base. I mean, when a guy can hit like this, you want him somewhere.
Right.
But if you start to shoehorn him in somewhere, I guarantee the ball's going to find him, and he'll be kicking it all over the place. But if they could find a way to stick him at third base, they'd have something.
Yeah, he's definitely worth a roster spot. If he should still be out there, probably if it's not too deep a league, go get him and stash him if you don't have him already.
All right, folks, we're going to take a break. We'll be back in our next segment. We're going to take a look at the who's hot and who's not across the league. So we're going to pay some bills. We'll be back.
InRavio.com.
YouNeedAPart.com. Fast and free, the internet's top used parts locator service. Over 3 million part searches since 2001. Salvage yards, sell more parts. Become a member today. YouNeedAPart.com. Tell them you heard it on InRavio.com.
Stop putting it off and start painting it up today at Ben's Paint Station, featuring Benjamin Moore paints, Sickens, wood finishes, paints, and professional paint supplies, ideal for contractors and homeowners. Stain paints and epoxies, family owned and operated, in business for over 55 years. Professional and experienced help. Located at 2 locations, 55B Route 25, Coram, Long Island, New York, and 1495 Plaza Montauk Highway, Mastic, New York. Call them at 775-7435 and 775-8135. Ben's Paint Station, featuring Benjamin Moore Paints. Log on to the InRavio advertisers page today.
From Long Island to the world, InRavio.com.
Hey guys, it's Christine from Backwater. Tune in every Saturday night from 7 to 9 for music history, musicians' birthday blocks, trivia time, and the best alternative music around. Saturdays at 7, only on InRavio.com, broadcasting to the world.
Mauritius Bay Diner and Restaurant. Steaks, chops, wraps, breakfast skillets. The Mauritius Bay, 62 Montauk Highway in Mauritius, New York. 878-6827. The Mauritius Bay Diner and Restaurant in New York.
I get so lost.
All right, we're back on Code Red. We're going to get into our Who's Hot, Who's Not segment right now and try to keep you up to date on who's swinging hot bat, who's pitching well over the last week or two. Some interesting names out there. We're not going to go over the typical guys like the Miguel Cabrera's and people that you just know are going to be pretty consistently hot all the time. But I'd like to bring up a couple of guys. A guy that got off to a pretty slow start, but is really, really picking it up is Paul Goldschmidt. In the last week, all this guy's done is hit .474, 4 home runs, 11 runs batted in, 2 stolen bases, and actually Wednesday night hit 2 home runs. One off of Clayton Kershaw, one off of Kenley Jansen. Okay, so that is no small
That's
feat.
a lot of heat right there.
Knocked in all 3 runs and single-handedly beat the Dodgers. So here's a guy that was really, a lot of people had pretty high hopes for coming into the season. I wasn't completely sold. I kind of expected the sophomore slump, and it turns out that he did get off to a slow start, but here he comes.
Well, remember, 2 years ago, he came up at the end of the season and helped launch them through the playoffs, which ended up not, ending with a championship. But then last year, we had the big high hopes. Like, this guy's he was a 30-homer guy in the minors, 100 RBIs every year.
Right.
Then he steals whatever it was, 18, 20 bases, whatever it was, and he's hitting home runs. But now we're starting to see the production that we were looking for last year.
That's what I love, the fact that you get stolen bases out of him. For a first base position, that's like a rarity, right?
You're talking Derek Lee. I mean, I can't think of
Right.
many.
Joey Votto used to be that way.
Votto,
Yeah.
and not a lot of production in stolen bases from that position.
No.
So that's a huge bonus. Another guy I want to talk about, Starling Marte.
Oof.
He's a guy that's still kind of flying under the radar. I mean, you don't hear much about him, but the guy has been...
He's giving you everything.
He's giving everything and consistently. And, for a guy that doesn't have a whole lot of, major league experience, over the last week, 389, 2 home runs, 2 stolen bases, 331 on the year, 5 home runs, 16 runs batted in, and 10 steals.
This could be his breakout year.
Are we looking at the best Pirate outfielder right now?
It could be. I mean, you look at this guy could go 25-25.
My apologies to McCutcheon, but the guy's just off to a fantastic
I think what you
start.
have is probably they're like similar type players.
They are.
They are.
And if McCutcheon steals a few more bases, I think he'd make people a little bit more happy.
Right.
He's heard the General. He's often stealing like a madman.
Oh,
this year,
I think
McCutcheon.
somebody lit a fire under him because there was no excuse for last year's stolen base performances out of him. It was ridiculous. We should have seen more than that. I think he fell in love with his swing a little bit and fell in love with the home runs and so but that's great. Marte is awesome talent.
Yeah. Over at second base, Jason Kipnis, a guy that came into the season with pretty high expectations and didn't deliver until about a week ago.
I know, we talked about him on last week's show. We were saying, what's going on with him, we're hoping he's going to come out. And this week, he's starting to show the Jason Kipnis that we expect.
Yeah.
So,
Listen, I mean, this week, hit over 300, a couple of home runs, and a stolen base. He's a guy that you can get power and stolen bases from, so hopefully he's a guy...
He's coming around.
That'll come around. Another second baseman, Dan Ugla.
a favorite of the General.
Listen, you know what? I'm not a huge fan,
He'll give you the power.
He gives
That's
you the
about
runs.
it.
That's all you're going to get.
That's what you're going to get.
He's
out
very
of it.
streaky, too.
But at that position, eligible at second base, if you're going to get anything out of one position, and it's going to be that, might as well be the one.
Well, if you're going to get 25, 30 home runs out of the guy, the guy hit over 300 for the week.
If he's going to hit 220 for the year and hit 30
He stole
homers.
a base this week, for God's sakes.
He did? What happened?
Get him in your lineup.
Did the catcher fall down trying to throw it down to second base?
Get him in your lineup.
The hero hanging out of his back pocket as he's running down there.
Drop the anchor there, Dan, will you?
A couple of guys, if you're, and I mentioned it earlier in the show, if you're sitting on, an Ike Davis type of player and you don't want to pick up Loney, if Mitch Moreland is out there, jump on him. The guy had a great week, hit 385, 3 home runs. A guy that really hasn't reached his potential, but, he's streaky. And if you need somebody for a little while, plug him in, pick him up, plug him in.
Absolutely. I think he could help somebody for a short term. I don't think he'd be a long-term fix. I think more of a short-term fix.
Right. Well, he's a guy that, when he's getting consistent playing time, he can contribute. That's not always the case.
Yeah, that's the problem.
A couple of pitchers. Listen, I don't want to mention guys that you would expect to be hot every week, but this guy just had an amazing week. King Felix just lights out. 2-0 this week, 0.56 ERA. If you had any concern about him being in a park where they pull the fences in, don't. The guy, there were, whispers about elbow problems, and guess what, guys? Felix Hernandez is Felix Hernandez.
That's why he's the king.
He's the king. Moving down the line, a couple of surprises. Derek Holland, great week, 2-0, 0.6 ERA, 1.13 WHIP.
I love this guy. I've had him, on and off over the years, and the frustrating thing about him is he'll give you 3 or 4 fantastic starts, like you see, over the last 2 weeks here, and then he'll get pounded for the next 2 weeks.
Yeah,
and
well,
it's like
the
consistency is the thing with him.
Right, which brings me to the next guy, Bud Norris.
Bud,
pitched a great game this week in a couple of starts, actually. 1.80 ERA, 1 win. He's pitching for the Astros, though. So,
I noticed about him this year. Not strikeouts used to be his forte in years past. This year they're down tremendously.
Are down.
Yeah, this year just and that was the one thing I would go pick him up for if I needed it was the strikeouts, and this year it's just hasn't been there.
Yeah. Anybody else you have that's hot?
The only guy I would mention that might be available out there in some leagues is John Jay. Over the last week or so, he's hitting around 500. He's got a homer, 8 RBIs. Again, he probably, in my mind, is more of a short-term fix because you're never going to get the power numbers out of John Jay at this point. But he might be available out there in a lot of leagues, and he's hitting real well right now too. Another guy that just surprised me a little bit is this guy has is very, very streaky. You get him while he's hitting is Kelly Johnson.
Yeah.
He's hitting again right now for the last week or so.
Yeah.
450, couple of homers, 9, 10 RBIs, but again, he's so streaky. These guys, they hit well, and then they go into the tank again. So, but if you get on him while he's hot, if he's available, you ride him for a while and you dump him.
Now, listen, there's one guy out there, too, that I want to mention that is not available. I can guarantee is not available. But Carlos Gomez, had a great second half last year. I jumped on that bandwagon last year. Thought about keeping him this year, and he didn't quite make the cut for me, unfortunately, and I didn't get him back. But guy's hitting 386 on the year, 6 home runs, 14 runs batted in.
Is that why the General's smiling
bases.
over there?
Listen,
and all he did this week was hit 458.
Yeah, the thing with a guy like with Gomez is that he's a young player, and you don't really know 100% where you're at with him. So last year, I think, just top of my head, without looking it up, I think he hit 20 homers and stole 37 bases or something like that. So, if he's all of a sudden going to go out and hit 25 homers and steal 40 bases, you have a star in your hands right there.
Well, the thing was, last year he hit 260, 19 home runs, 51 runs batted in, stole 37 bases. Okay. He did most of that in the second half.
Okay.
He was just on a tear last year.
And he signed the big contract in the off-season.
And he signed the big contract in the off-season. So, I had my concerns with the guy coming into this season, but, right now he's doing everything and more.
And you probably got him, I don't even know where I drafted him, I don't remember off the top of my head, but it wasn't in the first few rounds. So my guess is he was down in the 9, 10, 11 range, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, a couple of not hots. Robbie Cano, 4 for his last 20. Nothing to worry about there.
Wait, let me give you 3 more hots.
Oh, hold on.
Some pitching here. So these guys may or may not still be sitting out there on the waiver wire. So the first one's Scott Feldman. So over the last couple of weeks, 22 innings pitched, 3 wins, 17 Ks, 1.59 earned on average.
Yeah,
that's
awesome. Historically kind of a middle of the road kind of pitcher, and maybe he's turning a corner.
It could be. But again, he's pitching for a team that's going to struggle a little bit. But if he's putting up those kind of numbers, those guys typically always give you something except for the wins.
Another guy, up and down a little bit on his career so far, so it's Kevin Slowey. So he's got 21 innings pitched, 1 win, 21 Ks, 1.71 earned on average. And the last guy I had that he's probably not out there anymore. Started out with the Reds, had some really good early success with the Reds is Travis Wood. 20 innings pitched, 2 wins, 16 Ks, 2.66 earned on average.
Yeah.
So they might be laying out there on the wire, depending on how deep your league is, and might be good for a pickup now and ride their wave while it's hot.
All right, so back to our not list. As I mentioned, Cano, Pujols, 4 for his last 19, 1 home run.
This Pujols thing, let me tell you something. When the Angels signed this guy, we were all saying it, you know, the Albert Pujols of the 40 homers and the 350 batting average is so far away from where it is today that we are now looking at a guy who's 290, 25, and 90 RBIs, and they're paying this guy $25 million a year. This is a tough one.
Yeah.
And, you know, he's going to be productive, but nowhere near what they signed up for, I can guarantee that.
Yeah. A couple of other quick ones. Bryce Harper, 1 for his last 17. The 1 was a home run. Justin Upton kind of fell off his high horse a little bit. 3 for his last 19. David Price.
I don't know what the hell's happening.
It's getting worse.
It's ugly as could be.
He gave up 9 runs on 11 hits in his last start. I mean,
that's the manager's fault. You know how I feel about that.
You got to start to wonder. You think he's got arm trouble?
You know, they say his fastball is down a couple of miles per hour. I think he's throwing about 92 right now instead of his usual 94, 95. So maybe there's something there.
That's scary.
All right, let's wrap it up quickly with a quick look at the save circus, the closer carousel.
Oh my God!
We got a couple of minutes here. You know, Craig Kimbrell. Not to worry, folks, but the guy has blown 3 of his last 5 saves.
Why not? Get him out of there.
He'll be fine.
Get somebody else in there.
We mentioned Kevin Gregg. You know, don't get married to the guy. J.J. Poots out with a sore elbow.
Heath Bell is in and has already gotten a save.
Heath Bell is in, but you know,
Hernandez is in that mix
watch
too,
Hernandez and watch Reynolds, because I don't think it's going to be exclusively Bell. So if you need a couple of cheap saves, pick up Reynolds. You know, this is a funny one. This really, you know, if you want to know what we mean by the closer carousel, you know, just look at Boston. Right now we have Hanuchi Tozawa filling in for Hanrahan, who was filling in for Bailey, who was filling in for Hanrahan. So try to keep track of that, folks.
The circus is in town, and it stopped in Boston.
It's in Boston right now to rave reviews. And then finally, Jose Valverde, who, if you missed out on scooping him up, he's got 3 saves already. So.
And there's even been some murmurs too in L.A. for Brandon League might be losing that job. Although Manley just came out.
I think he's doing okay. He got the vote of confidence. So.
But. Jansen's waiting in the wings.
Listen, when you're a closer, there's no such thing as a vote of confidence.
Unless you guys right now, Kimbrell and Chapman, and maybe Papelbon, 3 guys. All right, we're going to wrap it up, folks. Thanks for tuning in on Fantasy Baseball Code Red on Enravio.com. We'll be back next Saturday with everything you need to win your league. For the General and the Commish, I'm the Admiral. Have a good week, folks. See you next week.
See you next week.